How old have you got to be, right, to realise that you don't eat ice cream too fast? I felt like I had a fucking tumour in my head, a brain freeze. I'd literally just been screaming. She's run upstairs and gone like, "What's up?" I was like, "Me fucking eye, me eye." It was nice, like, you know.
Do you know what? It's so mad you said this because we got it was my lad's birthday yesterday. And we got a slushy machine, and I did the same thing. Me and my eldest were sat there having slushies. And then she's like, "Daddy, you're okay?" And I'm like, "No." It's the 40-year-old man who can't drink a slushie.
Yeah.
His kids sit there staring at him, shaking her head, going, "Jesus, wept, Daddy."
It's like when you try and go toe-to-toe in the pub with the young bucks and they're knocking shots back and you're there nursing a pint. It felt like someone was stabbing me in the eye, mate.
Are you okay?
I think we'll survive, mate. I mean,
right,
yeah.
All right. I'm proud of you. You're a soldier.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So we stand together, as the kids say. Hey. In other news, have you got a top 5 sorted? Have you picked films you've seen?
Shut up. Yeah, I've seen recently. Yeah. Thanks. You know, we're supposed to act professional here. Yeah.
Scotty, that ship sailed on episode 1, mate. Come on.
Before we press record.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's expecting, you know, a certain amount of level of professionalism from me.
I'm going for Mark Commode's job, mate.
Mark Commode. You know what? I always get that comment on Twitter off our mutual mate Tom was always saying that to me. Thanks, Mark Commode. Now back to the studio. Every time I tweet something on films, I usually tweet, I watch a film later night. I usually tweet, "I've just watched whatever," and a little sort of review of it. I suppose we better do an intro though, aren't we? Because people will be getting like past the realms of laughter to the point of annoyance now. What are these two on about?
Yes,
so I'll let you do that.
All right, okay. Hello, welcome back. This is Scotty and Motty, and I'm Scotty, and we're here to yeah, you got it, nailed it. And we're here to talk today about our top 5 sports films. These are sports films, as in fiction or based on a real life story, not documentaries. We felt like we want to revisit that later on down the line, I think. But thank you, everybody that's been in touch recently. We had a pretty heavy show, at least the first half of it, before it turned into farcical Bowl Selector impersonations. Thanks a lot for your comments and you subscribing as well. It's been great, everybody getting in touch and listening to us. Thank you very much. So top 5, Jay. How easy of the task did you find this?
Do you know what I like to do? I think when me and you decide, well, it's usually you that comes up with suggestions, if I'm being brutally honest. And I love them. I always go, yeah, great. Right, top 5, let's do this. And what I usually do, when you say it, I'll list it straight away.
Yeah.
And then I'll sort of let it stew for an hour or whatever and think, right, have I missed anything off? And I changed one dinner today, but my top 5 was almost like, oh, yeah, right, yeah, I love that. Oh, yeah, I'll have that one. Boom. It wasn't difficult. You nicked one of them, I'll be honest with you. There was one that I probably would have had if you hadn't have already mentioned it.
Okay.
I love it, which we'll get to later. But yeah, it wasn't difficult at all. And I know you've mixed it up a bit, and I was the same. I didn't just want to do. And there's some films sports films that I like, but I wouldn't necessarily put them in my top 5 sports films. They're good, but
yeah,
there was a few that like I thought maybe. Yeah, you know, that one's quite funny, but no, I think the films that I've gone for are the type of films that if they're on, I'll watch no matter what. And I think it's a good sort of mix as well. You've done it as well, haven't you? So we've not just picked 10 football films between us or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, there isn't 10. There isn't, to be fair, there isn't 10 good football films anyway.
No.
We'd be struggling as barely 2. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this category because it gave me a chance to think about it, and yeah, settled on it.
Cool. Well, as I usually go first, and you're still holding the beef about where your name is in the pecking order, brother. While I recover from brain freeze, you can crack on with the first one of your top 5.
Now you've put me on the spot, and I've got to remember what was I picked. I thought I had a bit of grace. Do you know what? Right, I'll tell you what. I'll get my first one out of the way because this one isn't a sports film. Now that might sound like, hang on a minute, you've just done that intro. You just give us a big spiel. And then the first thing you're telling us, this first film isn't about sport. But I told you on message when we were messaging, it's got, for me, the best sports scene in any film. And I mean that. In cinematic history, for me, there isn't a better sports scene than there is in Kes. Now, Kes isn't a sports film. I just said that. It's a gritty sort of kitchen sink type drama set in the 60s. I think it's a Ken Loach film based on a novel, Kestrel for a Knave by Barry Hines. I read that book when I was at school. And it's about, it's in Barnsley. Everyone works down the mines. It's about this kid who's at school who he's sort of going nowhere really with his life. He can see himself ending up down the mines. That's his future's mapped out. And he looks after this kestrel. He finds a baby kestrel, raises it, and that's sort of like his. That's a sort of different side to him that he's got that no one else has got. The fact that he's into kestrel, he's into falconry, and he takes his kestrel out and does all these, takes it out flying and everything, and that's his sort of escapism from the gritty reality. But there's a scene in it where he's at school. He's a school kid where he played football for PE. Now, anyone who's ever played football at PE or been in PE in Britain, I'm guessing it's the same in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland as it is in England. This scene will resonate with him and it's also got one of the best characters ever in it. Brian Glover plays this PE teacher, and he joins in with the kids. He plays football with them, and he's a proper shithouse. He fouls, he dives, he takes a penalty, misses, and takes it again because he's also the referee as well in this game. And it's just hilarious. He's so funny. Honestly, I can't say how funny this scene is. And it's also like close to real life as well, because it's little things like, you forgot your shorts, right? There's some in that box. Get them out of the lost property. You can put a pair of them on. What position are you? Get in goal, lad, and all this. And it's just like, there's a bit where two of the lads, like two of the bigger boys who aren't into football, are stood at the side playing slapsies. And he comes over Brian Glover, and he's like he's obviously the PE teacher as well as playing this game. He runs over to him and he goes, hold your hand out. And they're playing slapsies, and they hold hand out, and he just slaps him across the face.
I've not seen it in years.
It's so, like, honestly, it's probably, I don't know what the film is, like, say 2 hours long for the sake of argument, and this scene's only 10 minutes, so I'm sort of shoehorning it in here. But if you've not seen the film, go and see it. It's a good film anyway. It really is. It gives you sort of a taste of what life was like there, and it's quite dramatic, and there's some really moving scenes in it, some funny scenes as well. But by and large, just the football scene, the PE lesson football scene is just a classic. It is so funny, and he because he's that much of a dickhead, Brian Glover. He says like he's going to be Bobby Charlton. He says like we're United, I'll be Bobby Charlton. He's got number 9 on his back. Someone says to one of the kids says, Dennis Law's better, and he says, well, Dennis Law's in the wash, and Bobby Charlton today. It's just classic. Honestly, it's so funny. Check the film out. I don't like to just recommend scenes. Go and check the whole film out. But the sports scene in that film, the football scene, is that good that I've got to put it in my top 5 sports films, even though technically it's not, because it's just hilarious and it is. It's just anyone who grew up from the 50s to 90s, whatever, who had PE at school will recognise some of the things that go on in that lesson. It's hilarious.
Definitely. Wait, was it the 70s that film came out?
I think it was filmed in the 70s, I think. But it was set, I think it's set in the sort of the late 60s. I might be wrong. Okay, cool. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Ken Loach film. And as you expect, Ken Loach, it's gritty, it's realistic. It's deals with sort of the issues that Ken Loach deals with of working class and poverty and stuff like that. This is Barnsley though. These are working class people. I mean, the mines are still open, so they're all sort of working.
Yeah.
But you know what's going to go up. You can see where this kid's heading. You can see his future, and obviously you know that the mines are going to close once Thatcher gets her hands on him, and how towns like Barnsley were hit. So there is a sadness to it, but there's also that humour that you get with sort of bubbling on the surface of all Ken Loach films, and this one scene in particular is just fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I like to see what you did there. You were saying we're not very professional, but you've actually led on from the way we ended last week about Craig David having a kestrel on his head, and you just started this show with it. That's genius, Jay. I love it.
That's probably my mind how it works. You probably sowed the seed
subconsciously.
Get down, Kez.
If you don't know what we're talking about, then you need to check the last episode of the podcast.
But
what was your experience of PE like in school? Because you were referring to what that teacher was like. But we had like this fucking brutal bastard called Mr. Fisher, And we used to have to, if you didn't have your shorts and stuff, he would make you do all that. But he used to threaten you with something called the wet willy. And what he used to do is he'd suck his finger. And if you were the last one running round, he'd stick his finger in your ear. Not right, that, is it?
we had, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, now, people just wouldn't have a clue, would they?
No.
They wouldn't like what goes on with like health and safety and like
and nonsense.
Yeah, Operation U-Tree has proper put a stop to certain behaviours and certain teachers as well, but certain behaviours. And I remember once we had a teacher. I don't want to say his name in case he's still alive, and he was all right. But he taught at my school for that long. I remember one of my dad's mates told me about him and how he punched him in the face once. He punched my dad's mate in the face once for laughing when he was getting told off. And he was scary. And this is how bad he was. If you forgot your shorts, right, or your top, if you forgot your whole kit, he didn't mind. He said, if you've not picked up your kit, I get that. But if you've got an item of your kit, go berserk. Yeah. I mean, like, he'd scream at you, he'd push you, he'd be, like, raging. How can you forget? You get your kit ready the night before. How can you forget your kit, right? And I'll never forget once. I just started doing GCSE PE, right? It was my first lesson of GCSE PE with him. So, like, this is, like, the next level now. You're not just at school, you're doing GCSE PE. And I forgot my shorts, right? And I had a long t-shirt. I never fucking forget this. I had a long white t-shirt. And I fucking had a United badge on my blazer at school. I took the United badge off and I made my t-shirt look like a pair of shorts.
What?
So it was like a long skirt with a badge right up. And then I put another top over it all, so it looked like a pair of shorts. Because I was that scared. And I couldn't even barely run because I was panicking in case his badge like snaps. So I was running like proper, like my legs were tied together. Honestly, I was that scared as I was saying, "Sir, I forgot my shorts."
Fucking hell!
Because I knew he'd absolutely volley me out of the gym. So yeah,
not great experiences, and neither of us went into a career of sports, fully enough.
Yeah. Scarred for life, physically in some cases, yeah.
Yeah. Right, I'll move on to the next one. My first one will be what I think is probably the greatest sports film of all time. I think it's the one that most sports films that followed it follow suit in terms of the narrative, the rags to riches. Rocky, number one, 1976. This film for me, I mean, it's so far-fetched that he managed to get fit in 5 weeks and fight the world champion, but for some way, it actually seemed real. You know what I mean? The way the first one shot, I think the following Rocky, everyone knows the fucking plot of Rocky. If you don't, then you shouldn't be watching this podcast. You should be getting on Amazon or something like that. But yeah, the way it's been shot, I think the ones that followed, like Rocky 2, Rocky 3, it just went more and more Hollywood. But the first one is very gritty and dark, and the characters in it, like Mickey, Uncle Paula, played by Burt Young, who's one of my favorite characters in film. I just love it. He plays a drunk fucking fantastically. And you know the story of how he actually got the characterization of the drunk is that someone was drunk in a pub that he used to frequent and used to mimic him. So he used to go back to the same bar night after night and get pissed with this bloke, so he knew exactly how to get into character of Paula. But you know the story, you know the story of Rocky and that. But I was reading up on the history of how it was actually made, and obviously Stallone actually wrote the script, didn't he? I think it was over a weekend. I think he wrote it originally, and then when he actually got interest from the studio that they wanted to buy it, they offered Sylvester Stallone $350,000 not to play the part, and he was adamant that he wanted to do it. That I said, right, well, I won't take it. I'll take an extra's wage to make sure that I'm in the film. And the studio said, right, okay, we'll be cutting your budget by $1 million to make it. And then you have to realize how broke Rocky was at this time. I think he was living out of his car. He was earning $35 a week as a busker, and he was getting ready to sell his dog. So you know what I mean? If you're looking at art imitating life, very much Rocky Balboa was very much like him trying to fight his way into the actual film industry, because he wanted Robert Redford again. We were talking about how he's going to be in Godfather, and can you imagine Rocky be as Robert Redford? No,
and do you know what? I saw something else. Another one they wanted as well was Burt Reynolds, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I saw that as well. I read that. What you're saying. and he did well, Stallone, because he's made for that role. He is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work with Burt Reynolds or Robert Redford at all. And I'm with you 100% on what you said. It's people forget, and I think like you say, what, they went more Hollywood. I think Rocky, in many ways, is almost overlooked as a film.
Yeah, I think so.
I think, and most people a bit younger than us probably haven't even seen Rocky. They might have seen Rocky 4, which is the recent Rocky films that he's made. But if you actually go back to the only Rocky that ever got nominated, I think, for an Academy Award for Best Film was Rocky 1. I think it won, actually. It won, didn't it?
I think it won a couple. It was nominated for 8 Oscars, I think. I don't think it actually won anything. I don't think it won anything for his acting skills.
No, I don't think it won. I think it might have won Best Film and Best Director for Alvidson, who directed it. But anyway, you're right. It's a fantastic film, superb, and with all good sports films, sport is often the secondary to what else is going on.
Yeah.
This isn't just about sport, is it? Do you know what I mean? This is about this guy and his chance of his one last shot, and Adrian as well, who the ever reliable Talia Shire.
Talia Shire is fantastic especially when you look at I think 2 years earlier, 1974. I think Godfather 2 came out, and if you look at the characters between them two, it's incredible that she's such a more or less a mute character, but she plays it so well, doesn't she? I think she's fantastic in it, and obviously Mickey in there. And there was there's some language in it now, and I don't know if they get away with it because he refers to Rocky as a Dago, don't he? I think.
Oh,
you dumb Dago.
I think you know what, right? If you watch the Rocky films, I mean, they're not. This is the time though. It's language people used, and it's like, you watch them, and it's like Dago and Rocky makes me always laugh in Rocky 3, where he's like, you can't teach him to fight like a coloured fighter. And he tries to teach to fight like a coloured fighter, whatever that means.
Is that like in the art of boxing? Have you got like a chapter?
Fight like them what? Yeah. Well, that's like the premise of the entire second half of the film.
Fight like a black man.
Yeah. What are you on about? And then the fight starts and he throws it all out the window anyway.
Well,
no, you're right.
Rocky. I think Rocky 1's probably the only one that's aged quite well. I think ironically, the later ones, when they they threw everything at it financially, I think actually killed. Yeah, people probably won't go back and revisit the first one because of what they expect from seeing the later one. But we can't talk about Rocky without talking about Bill Conti's song. That's got to be up there with the greatest one of the greatest songs on a film, I'd say, of all time.
Yeah, I agree. The soundtrack to Rocky itself, and that particular song you're talking about as well, it's just so uplifting. It is, and I think it's funny. I can't, if I'm sort of critically analysing a film, I could pretty much do it with any film, but I struggle with the Rocky films because I watched them when I was a kid and I loved them that much. I just have that nostalgia for him that, even the so-called crap ones that aren't very good, I love them. Because it just reminds me of that. I cried at Rocky 4 at the cinema. I went to cinema to see that. I cried when I don't think I'm giving anything away. When Apollo may rest in peace.
I've not seen it. What do you mean? What happens to Apollo? Well, Carl Weathers is great, and I think Rocky actually based him on Muhammad Ali, didn't he? In some ways,
well,
but I think
there's a thing here. There's a bit of intrigue about the origins of Rocky because apparently it's based on Chuck Wepner, who fought. Yeah, and then but Stallone's downplayed that a little bit and said I always had the idea anyway, and I think that was maybe just sort of catalyst, or I don't know how much that influenced him. But yeah, no, you're right. You can see it the way he is. He's flamboyant and outspoken, and it's not an easy role to play. That I think it's for Carl Weathers, and I think he does a good job of it because you don't want to just be a Muhammad Ali impressionist because people are going to fucking hate you.
Yeah,
and he makes Apollo Creed a different type of character, but has them similar traits. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just as you're talking about it now, as we're talking about it, makes me think I've not seen it myself for a long time. And I love Burgess Meredith in it as well. Think
Burgess Meredith is absolutely class.
He's fucking different class, and it's funny in it because you mentioned that, and I think that towards the sort of end of the films, the characters weren't really developed as much, but
no, they were very one-dimensional, weren't they? Whereas I think they probably had, when you look at the the possible narratives that they could have gone down from the first one. There were so many different story angles they could have. Do you know what I mean? I'd have liked to maybe see more of the Paulie character, but he didn't. He just played. He just became this drunk. You know, no one gets pissed for that long. Oliver Reed didn't even last as long as fucking Uncle Paulie.
Yeah, it was a very much. I think, and then I don't know. I think part of the problem as well you get is Stallone is now the star. He directs them all after that. This is the thing between. I think it's not until I think it might be number 5 that John G. Alverton came back in as director, and from 2, 3, and 4 it was Stallone. He wrote them all. And I mean, you know, again, I love these films. I can't be too critical, but that's the problem you have is no one's checking, no one's saying to you no. In Rocky, he was okay. He wrote it, and he was the main lead, but he didn't have all the power. The studio kept control. The director had control. The producers. But when obviously it just became Sylvester Stallone's show, when he became this massive star on the back of this film, that he just did what he wanted, and sometimes that was his undoing, really.
Right, move on to your second one, please, Jay.
I will go with the second one I'll pick, or I'm going to talk about, is, again, in terms of, like, you know, sporting foot, it's sort of one extreme to the other, because you've talked about Rocky and the gritty and the realism and the, you know, the sort of the character arcs and all that. And I'm going to talk about one of the fluffiest films you will ever see, but I find it hilarious, is Happy Gilmore. I just think it's fucking it's 90 minutes of nonsense. It is with golf, but it's funny, and I just think it. And golf does play a big part in this film. I know we'll say sports off in the secondary, but you know you do get some cameos in it as well. I think Lee Trevino and Mark O'Mara and people like golfers like that are in it. But if you don't know it, it's a hockey player, a failed hockey player who's crap at hockey, but he's got a power shot that's like one of the strongest shots in hockey. And he, by accident, finds out it leads to a 500-yard drive or whatever. So he takes up golf because he wants to get money for his grandma's house. It's fucking nonsense. The plot's nonsense, right? As I'm saying it out loud, it's just drivel.
Can you imagine trying to pitch this?
Yeah. This guy, right? He's an hockey player. Sounds like another 4 a.m.
Yeah, kitchen top.
Listen, like a script, you know. There's this hockey player. Yeah, listen, lad, hear me out, yeah. And he wins the US Masters. Yeah, right, mate. Yeah, let's do that. I don't know Tiger Woods. We can get him to go in it. It's the funny thing is in this film as well. Mentioning Tiger Woods, it came out just before Tiger Woods exploded, so golf had never had a character or a person that lots of people related to in that way.
Yeah. So
Tiger Woods brought them all. I mean, I was 16, 17 when Tiger Woods won the first one of the Masters, and I started finding a little bit of an interest in golf. Started watching golf a bit more. It was like, who's this guy everyone's raving about? You know, you know, I mean, he looks a little bit like me. He's not like all these middle class sort of, you know, posh people that you associate golf with. I know not everyone's like that, but at the time it felt like that. It felt a little bit, you know, I liked Nick Faldo and people like that, but it felt different when Tiger Woods came along. So it was before that. So it makes the point of this is like a working class guy as well, and he tears up golf. But the main thing about this is just a funny film. It's hilarious. It's got Christopher McDonald in it, who I love. I think he's really funny in it. It's got Julie Bowen, who's in Modern Family. She's the mum in Modern Family. This is one of her earliest film roles. And it's just hilarious. It's just a really funny film. And me and you spoke about Adam Sandler in the past and how his career sort of went like that. But this is when it was like that. This
was probably at the peak of his game, wasn't it?
I think it's the peak of his game. I think it's his second film as well. It says it It went downhill very quickly.
Yeah, it's like Oasis's back catalogue, isn't it? Morning Glory.
Just put me in, but still made money. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they didn't really care.
Keeps putting shit out on Netflix, doesn't make a difference.
That's it, man. But this is it's just fucking hilarious. And if you watch this film, you'll love it. And again, it's nonsense. Some of the things you're watching it don't even really make sense. If you know, people don't do this. People don't go from never playing golf before to winning what is the equivalent of the US Masters in a month. It doesn't fucking happen, right? So in a documentary, it's a comedy, and it's just a very, very funny film. And if you do like golf, there's some good golf references in there, so it's worth watching.
Yeah, I can't stand it. My missus has got a crush on Adam Sandler, so just by fucking default. And
I won't mind, right? She's got a crush on Adam Sandler. That's bad, isn't it? Because like my missus got a crush on Tom Hardy, and it's not too bad because most of Tom Hardy's films are all right.
Yeah, and Tom Hardy's a decent looking bloke, but Adam Sandler's got an egghead, and you know, it's not good for morale. That we're not good.
She's not fussy now. She's not that bothered about looks.
Evidently.
Listen, I'm not going to start throwing stones in that glass house, mate. Come on.
Right, we'll move on from one comedy to another, unless you're a Leeds United fan. The next one I'm going for is The Damn United, which I think is a great film for many reasons. Like, I could watch Leeds United be in turmoil any day of the week. So for that fact, that side alone, it was an enjoyable watch. But it's about Brian Clough's 44 days in charge of Leeds United when he's taken over. Is it Don Revie, isn't it, that he overtook when Don Revie went to take over the England job from Sir Alf Ramsey? And he just goes in quite cocksure of what he's going to do, and the players don't take to him. First and foremost in this, Michael Sheen, for me, absolutely nails Clough. I mean, I think Clough, I was towards like the beginning of the 90s, wasn't it? Mid-90s, was it 95 when he retired? Did Forest go down?
It was the first Premier League season to 93.
93 when they first went down. So we'll have vague memory, but the footage of Clough gets retweeted left, right, and centre, done across social media. His sound bites are legendary. From what I know of him, it was very similar. But the Clough family absolutely hated the film, didn't they? They didn't want to go and see it, and then Nigel Clough completely writ it off when he'd actually seen it and said, "My dad didn't act anything like that." But it's really good. It's more the story's great, especially if you're into football. But for me, it was more like the turmoil that he was sort of going into when the players wouldn't respond to his ideas and stuff. And regardless, he was still very sure about what he was going to do. And as a Man United fan, it was very difficult to watch this film back and not see the comparison with David Moyes. Like, I want to see the damned Moyes United. Like about his 9 months in charge of Man United, and the comparisons there is like you could just imagine him going home after having a load of whiskey after telling Rio Ferdinand that's not how Phil would have done it.
It's mad because sorry to interrupt you, mate. There's a Jamie Jackson, the journalist. I've got it somewhere. I've not read it yet. He wrote a book like that.
Really?
A Season in the Red. So it's not a documentary. It's not a non-fiction book. It's like a novelization of that, which is similar to what David Peace did. Sorry, I was just
yes. So that's that. When you look at the story, it's very similar because Don Revie was, I think, probably Leeds United's biggest manager, and then he's got off to the England job, and then similar with United at Ferguson. And it was just, when you watch the character, and I can just imagine Moyes very similar to the way Clough was back home drinking and still, because he went in very cocksure, didn't he? That despite taking after the greatest manager on earth, that he was going to be adamant that he was going to do things his own way. If you're a Leeds United fan, I imagine it's not the easiest of watches. I've got friends that are Leeds United fans and they don't even associate Brian Clough as being a Leeds manager. But yeah, it's a thoroughly enjoyable watch. I was thinking though, because Michael Sheen's a fantastic actor. Do you know when he takes off people? He was brilliant in Frost versus Nixon.
Yeah,
and I always thought if The Damn United was an American film, that he might have got more in terms of awards or recognition, but because it was a British, maybe lesser budget film, that he probably didn't get the recognition it deserves. And The Damn United has got to be one of the very few, like you were saying earlier on, football films that are actually watchable, and which is bizarre because when you look at all the American football ones, or boxing, yet the size of football as a sport. And probably the best well-known ones have got Danny Dyer wearing Stone Island,
It's
not a good representation. No, if you're trying to sell football to aliens,
no, it's not. But you're right, Michael. I love Michael Sheen. He's probably one of the best actors at playing a real life character as well, a real life person. Sorry. He's done it with Kenneth Williams. He's done it with Tony Blair twice. He's done it twice, might be 3 times, at least twice. As you mentioned, David Frost as well. He doesn't just impersonate him; he sort of brings something different to it, to interpretation. And that film is brilliant, and like you say, so cocksure, like a bulldozer, isn't he? The way he goes in, Clough. And I love Brian Clough. I think he was a real character, and like I said, I was a little bit young. He was still around when I was watching football when I was a kid, but I've read quite a lot on him, and back-to-back European Cups with Nottingham Forest is fucking ridiculous. And the way he went about things. And I just love it when he gets in there and he just tells them all to throw all the medals in the bin. Because you've not won them fairly. I think that's the first thing you can do Get all your medals.
And these have just won the league, haven't they? Leeds when he's got in telling them that, and then doesn't he tell his assistant manager, if you were a horse, you'd be put down.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck?
He's just mad. And if anything, this film is a great film. You're right, and it's worth watching. But if anything, it hopefully lead people to look at a little bit into Brian Clough, because what he achieved was great. And if you listen to some of the players that played under him, when they tell Brian Clough stories, they're just fucking brilliant. It's hilarious. And yes, it's sad because he lost his way, like you said, with alcoholism towards the end of his career. He wasn't, he was a functioning alcoholic for the last couple of years. But so many great Clough stories, and this 44 Days at Leeds, just madness. Just goes in there and fucking tears it up. But it's you're right, the way it's filmed and the way it juts back and forth in time is fantastic.
Cool. What's your next one?
Next one exchange to the other, really. You're talking about sort of British realistic films. Well, this is a realistic film, but it's not British. It's a film about baseball, but more than that, it's a film about sort of how baseball and sport changed, and it's Moneyball with Brad Pitt. Now, this is proper Hollywood, you know what I mean? It's sort of the opposite of the Damn United. Now, baseball, I'm not a baseball fan, and this is sort of film you think, a film about baseball, I can take it or leave it, but it's based on a true story of the Oakland Athletics, and Willie being the general manager there, and he was the first man or first general manager to really embrace, I think it's called sabermetrics, which was basically, there was a security guard, I think, called Bill James. Is it Bill James? I think his name's Bill James. I might be wrong. Who came up with, analysed baseball and came up with like a sort of an algorithm for it, where if you looked at players instead of looking at players, look at them as runs and points, sort of how you can work out how to get the best players and how to win games. Now, years ago, you mentioned football. Graham Taylor did something similar. There was a guy called, I think, Charles Reap, who did something similar with football, which more or less invented the long ball game, because he worked out the more balls you get in the box, more goals you score. So Graham Taylor adopted that philosophy, and this is a similar sort of thing. But Moneyball has sort of become massive, and after what happened with Oakland Athletics, the Red Sox started doing it and won their first World Series, even though it's not really the World Series in baseball in the first time in 80 years. Some football teams have tried to adopt that approach, just using sort of statistics and analysis and data rather than anything else. I've got a book called Soccernomics, which looks how it affected football. It's really interesting. And people say, because in this film, Moneyball, basically, Brad Pitt's general manager. This team, they've got no money, so they start adopting this sort of philosophy of they're working as though players are just numbers, and how you can replace players that cost a lot of money with players that don't cost a lot of money because they've got no money, who can get a similar amount of runs. So if one player gets, you say, I don't know how baseball works, gets you 100 runs, then we'll bring in 3 players that get 33 runs each. That sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can sort of recreate it. And if a player's not fancy because he's overweight, but his statistics are good, we'll get him. If he's too old, people think he's too old, but his statistics are good, we'll get him. They don't care about how a player looks, their age, the history. It's just purely what the stats say. They just follow it all on stats. And now, at the end of the film, John W. Hendry is in it, not as a character, someone plays him, who obviously owned the Boston Red Sox, because he tries to get Willie Bean to come over to him. Now, obviously, John W. Hendry bought Liverpool, and people have said that Liverpool have adopted Moneyball as their philosophy in terms of buying players and getting these players and all the rest of it. And I don't think they really have. I think that's misleading, because they've had some bargains like Andy Robertson or whatever, but by and large, Liverpool have bought players for decent amounts of money. Virgil van Dijk was 75 million. The keeper, Alisson, was 50 million, whatever. Yeah. Naby Keita was 45 million. Do you know what I mean? So yes, they might have the odd sort of bargain like Mo Salah or Robertson, but by and large, they spent money. I think a closer sort of way of looking at here in terms of football would be like Leicester. Leicester were a team that won the league with like odds and sods. You had a striker that had been around the lower leagues and never really done much. You had an unheard of French guy who no one had really heard of before. You had players like Danny Simpson and Danny Drinkwater who'd been bombed out of United. You had Hoof who'd been bombed out of Chelsea, and you put them all together and it works. And this is a similar sort of thing. It's like Brad Pitt makes all this work, but in terms of a film, it's just really it's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable watch, and it's true. It tells you this story of this team and how this revolutionary idea came in. And at first, it wasn't working. Everyone was against them, and everyone was slagging them off. and then you see it take shape. And it's just a really enjoyable film, and fascinating as well, because it's one of those sort of seminal moments in sport where something changed. It's got, Jonah Hill plays one of the characters in it, like an economist, Peter Brand, who's like big on this idea and works with Brad Pitt, and it's probably Jonah Hill's best performance, really. It was a
turning point. It was a turning point, I think, for his career, wasn't it? Really, because I think he went on obviously done Wolf of Wall Street, but before that, it was all the stoner movies, wasn't it, with Seth Rogen? That was sort of what it was known for. But I agree with you. So it's a great film. When I read the premise of it, I thought, "Fuck that." Do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't want to watch no statistician. I can't even say it.
No, you're right.
Do you know? Again, it amazes me how you get these sort of pitches to Hollywood execs, because it doesn't sound. I mean, you probably did a better job there of selling it to someone that hasn't watched it, because it is a really good film. But if you were to read the blurb on IMDb, I'm not too sure how much you'd actually.
You can see why they got Brad Pitt in, can't you? We've got a film, right? And it's basically about all these statisticians working at a baseball team. Fuck that. No. We'll get Brad Pitt. Okay, it's a go.
Oh, yeah. We'll go. Brad sells. Yeah. Do we need baseball? We'll just have like him in the dugout.
Brad Pitt side of the room in 2 hours. Yeah.
Was that what was the guy's name? Willie what?
Willie Bean. Willie Bean.
Well, that's mental, because the character in my next one is called Willie Beeman. Any given Sunday.
Yes.
What
I was talking about, the one I would have had if you hadn't.
I was trying to work out, because I'd omitted to, because I'd forgot what they were like. I thought if I dropped one of his now that he wanted to, so I'm gonna get in shit.
Yeah, you're all right. No, you're all right.
Any given Sunday. Oliver Stone, and it's exactly what you'd expect from an Oliver Stone film, but on the playing field of the NFL. And Jamie Foxx plays a underachieving career, hasn't he, as a quarterback, and he joins the Miami team that's run by Al Pacino, and it's just explosive across everything's just sort of amped up to another level. For me, it was Al Pacino's speech is the greatest speech, I think, in sporting film. I just can't think of anything. It's like what is it, Braveheart's fucking speech, or Gladiator. It's that good. And we could do with some of that sort of speech now, couldn't we? In America, do you know, life gives you an inch, isn't it? And it's just like he's drawing parallels between life and the football field. How what is it? 6 inches this way, and you like, and it can go,
too late or half an inch too soon, and you miss it. Yeah,
and you miss your
for those inches.
Yeah. Just YouTube that after this. It's a phenomenal speech. And the cast is great in this. Cameron Diaz. It's like James Woods. It's like 90s big hitters, wasn't it, across the board. I think Jamie Foxx is probably coming towards his. I think Ray followed this, didn't he? I think he was sort of breaking through.
I think this was his breakthrough.
Yeah, I think he was breaking through. And there's a few good backstories. One thing I want to talk about: Al Pacino in the 90s, for me, seemed to have discovered cocaine. I know he did in the 80s with Scarface, but everything in the 90s is very hoo-ha. Do you know? Like she had a great ass and all. And everything, it was all like very shouty. Al, wasn't it? Yeah,
I don't know if it's coke. I mean, No,
I know it wasn't cocaine. I'm not. I'm pretty sure he discovered cocaine before the 90s.
Yeah, if he didn't film Scarface when he real cocaine in that fucking film, something's going on.
What sort of method actor are you, Al?
Yeah, exactly. But I think you're right, and I think Scent of a Woman, because he won an Oscar for that.
Yeah,
set the tone a little bit, and we did see a lot of those type of performances.
Yeah,
but for me, I mean, I love Any Given Sunday. I actually think, I'm not trying to be sort of hipster or trying to pick a different ring, but I just thought Dennis Quaid stole the film, and I'm not even a massive Dennis Quaid fan.
Yeah,
I thought the juxtaposition between Jamie Foxx's character coming up and Dennis Quaid going down. I thought it was fantastic, and I thought he was brilliant in it. And I also, it's almost like different roles as well. Lauren Holly is his wife, who's a bitch, was great because she's not usually like that. Cameron Diaz is a complete bitch, horrible in it, and she's not usually like that. So you've got these like sort of actresses playing against type, and it's you're right. It's one of those films. I mean, I'm not an American football fan. I don't even know the.
I haven't got a clue. I somebody suggested Friday Night's Light to me, so I watched that last night because somebody said that's the greatest sports film, and it was shit. I wasn't impressed in the slightest. I'm sorry if that's one of your favorite. If you disagree with me, comments down there. I didn't think it was great at all. But yeah, like you said, playing against type, Dennis Quaid was really good. He wears the demise, in his face really well. And the whole shouty owl, the point I was trying to get to is that the speech that he does, it's delivered so well that the pauses and it builds towards this sort of momentum. And you're there and you get goosebumps, when you watch that scene. There's a good backstory in this one. Did you hear what happened with LL Cool J and Jamie Foxx on the set of...
Didn't you really kick off?
Oh, mate, yeah. So Jamie Foxx and LL Cool J, I think they were about to go scrapping with each other as part of the script. And Jamie Foxx has turned around to LL Cool J and goes, stop roughing me up. And then LL Cool J's gone, man, I'm just in the zone and I'm playing the lead, the part I'm supposed to play. And then they go again. And then Jamie Foxx just lands one on LL Cool J. And then LL Cool J's, what the fuck? What is going through your head? Jamie Foxx looks like a fit bloke, but what are you expecting the outcome is going to be if you're punching LL Cool J in his prime? Do you know what I mean? so he's punched LL Cool J. And then he's turned to the side as always about to juke up. And then LL Cool J's gone like that. What did you punch me for? He goes, I told you not to put your fucking hands on me. And then the way LL Cool J tells it, he goes, so the next minute I put my hand on it because at the time, fucking Jamie Foxx is wearing the helmet. So he goes, so I've pulled up the helmet with one hand and I've gone like that and just fucking nailed him. And then Jamie Foxx's spark out. They had to get the police and everything because he was just fucking knocked clean out. Yeah, and it took a long time for them to make up on that. I think he appeared on one of LL Cool J's less successful albums later down the line. But yeah, great backstory of that and Any Given Sunday.
I'm surprised Oliver Stone didn't shit stir between them both because you know what he's like as a fucking lunatic.
Oh, yeah.
And his director. Yeah. You know, I'm surprised he wasn't like to LL Cool J. He says you hit like a pussy. Yeah. All that a punch. Jamie Foxx is just laughing at you, telling everyone how you're a shit rapper.
Yeah. Can you imagine though that like if you just landed one on LL Cool J, I'd be off, mate. I'd be running.
Because Jamie Foxx is henching it with LL Cool J's. I mean, fucking hell, mate. It's a great film as well. Some great cameo. Lawrence Taylor's in it as well, and Jim Brown's in it as well. He plays fucking more or less Jim Brown, but he's great. No, I love that film, and like I said, I would have picked it myself. And it's so many different stories going on, and it sort of shows like I said, I don't know next to nothing. I've watched enough American football films now that you don't need to know anything about the sport. But this it was great to sort of see behind the scenes, and I think where other American football films before Any Given Sunday, it was very one-dimensional. You don't see the sort of how easy players get cut from the teams and stuff. It's not as brutal as in football. In football, you tend to get more turns, don't you? If you get dropped from the side, you got a chance to get him back in. But you get cut here and then you shipped off to fucking Kansas. Or nobody wants to go to Kansas from Miami. I've never been to either, but I can't imagine they do. I haven't. That's like going from Altrincham to Weast. No disrespect to anyone that lives in Weast.
I've got loads of that. That's our biggest demographic. The Weast, we just fucking lost it.
No, that's it. Now, I apologise. Yeah,
lost half our following. Right, next one. What you want?
Next one is we talk about football films. Football films, by and large, are shit. But now and again, you get one that's all right. And this technically, again, people might argue I'm stretching it. It's actually a war film with a backdrop of a football match. But I love it. It's Escape to Victory. And the reason I love this film is it's absolute fucking nonsense from start to finish. None of this makes any sense, right? So, and I'm a little bit of a history buff. I like my history. If you watch this with even half a history hat on you, you're going to be very angry and disappointed because it's a load of fucking nonsense. Like, it doesn't make any sense and it would never happen. But it's fucking entertaining and it's great and it's uplifting and it's just funny. It's just an enjoyable film. Do you know what I mean?
Tell the people that haven't seen the premise, Joe.
Yeah, basically, they're in a concentration camp, a prisoner of war camp in Nazi Germany. There's a Michael Caine plays a sort of Bobby Moore type version player, obviously before Bobby Moore was ever existed, but he's an ex-West Ham and England defender in this camp, and he's approached by this ex-German international who's a Nazi who remembers playing against him when England played Germany, and they arrange a friendly in Paris. Now, the reason it's nonsense is For starters, Michael Caine's in this prisoner of war camp and he looks fatter than a fucking sumo wrestler. So I don't know what they were feeding him, which is a nonsense anyway. Do you know what I mean? Because last time I checked in prisoner of war camps, you weren't putting on loads of weight, and especially not if you're a professional footballer. So God knows what's going on there. That makes no sense. Sylvester Stallone's in it again, which is his own thing. He keeps escaping, but they still let him play in this game and send him off to Paris to play in this game, which is a nonsense. But my favourite thing in this is Pele's in this film. And he more or less plays himself. And it's great because Pele's quite funny in it, and he's got a few things. And he scores the overhead kick you may have seen on memes and everything. He scores that. And you know what Pele's like for counting goals. So he probably counted that towards his official record. It's probably one of the thousands that he scored was in Escape to Victory.
600 in the schoolyard.
Yeah. But what makes at the end of the film, I'm not giving away any plot spoilers. Yeah. The all pile on. The game finishes and all the crowd pile on the pitch and put coats and hats on all these prisoner of war to help him escape. And you see Pele with his hat and his coat on, and you think, mate, you're in Nazi occupied France. You're going fucking nowhere, son. You'd be lucky if you get out of the stadium. Do you know what I mean? We're looking for a black guy. What? Yeah, the only black guy in the whole of fucking Nazi occupied territory. But he's got a hat on, so you'll have some trouble finding him. Yeah, it's nonsense. It's nonsense from start to finish, but it's enjoyable. And there's some cameos in it as well. John Walk's in it. Mike Summerby is in it.
Ozzy Ardiles in it.
Ozzy Ardiles, thank you, and obviously Pele. There's a few others you'll recognise. Russell Osman, a few other players, and it's you know what? It's the sort of enjoyable nonsense. You know what I mean? He escaped. He beat the Nazis at football. Beat them. Yeah, hurrah! Sylvester Stallone saves penalties. Yeah. And it's like, okay, it's fucking so far detached from reality, you can't even contemplate. But it's a great film. It is. It's just good. Nigel
Farage's favourite film, that.
Fuck off! Don't what? Nigel Farage? Hey, his team lose?
He was hoping for a draw.
Yeah, I think it might end up being a draw, but you know what I mean. What's your next one?
My next one that has been substituted late on in the game is "He Got Game" by Spike Lee. I do love this film.
Again, very good.
I don't think there's a better director and actor pairing than Denzel Washington and Spike Lee. They just hit it out of the park every single time. I don't believe, knowing that Denzel Washington's done a bad film. I think he's up there with Tom Hanks and that for consistency. I think I'd struggle to name a Denzel Washington film that if someone suggested watching it, I'd call it shit. I think I don't want
to go off topic. There's one he did with Bob Hoskins. I think it's called Heart Condition, which is
shut up. You're just ruining my finger now.
It's still a bit laugh.
Always.
You're right. No, you're right. Denzel's on. You watch him.
Yeah, we'll edit that out, bastard. Right. So this film, basically, Denzel Washington plays the father of the hottest basketball player about to break through to college basketball in the United States called Jesus. And Denzel's actually serving time in prison for killing Jesus's mum. And the plot's a bit iffy. I can't imagine this actually would happen. Is that some governors they say to Denzel Washington's character that you can go out, you can get your freedom early if you can convince your son to go and play for a certain college. So he has to sort of reacquaint himself with his son and get himself in his good eyes. And obviously, he's killed his son's mother. And you can imagine that the last thing you want to do is go and see your mum's murderer, even though he's your dad. And for me, I'm always interested how different Spike Lee's New York is to Woody Allen's, to Martin Scorsese's. Spike Lee's, it's always sunny. Do you know what I mean? It's always, whenever you're walking around the Spike Lee, New York, it's always sunny, it's always sweater, and you can really feel that in it. I think it's Brooklyn or the Bronx where this one's set. Or is it somewhere in New York? There's 5 boroughs, pick one. So yeah, but you can really feel like the sweat of the summer and stuff, and just the way it's shot is absolutely fantastic. Soundtrack of He Got Game is brilliant. The title track by Public Enemy is outstanding. There's a good backstory in this. There's a couple actually. Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant, who we lost earlier this year, he was actually who Spike Lee wanted for the role of Jesus. And then he said, "I'm not auditioning for it." And then Spike said, well, you're not fucking starring in the film then. And then apparently there was a few of them who he asked to do it, and none of them would audition. So the bloke who came in and auditioned for it, his name slips my mind. But the last scene is when they play basketball just one-on-one at night, father versus son. And in the actual script, Spike Lee told the Jesus character that he's going to absolutely nail him 11 zip. And then Denzel Washington, who used to play a little bit, apparently he was bad at college basketball, said, I'm not having any of this. So he was going toe for toe with this basketballer. But the basketballers bought Jesus's acting coach on the sidelines, thinking completely unaware that Denzel Washington's actually playing proper. And his acting coach is bollocking Jesus, going like that. What are you doing? You're supposed to be sticking to the script, and he keeps running off the camera, going like that. He's playing to win. So there's like a rivalry there between the two of them. And Spike Lee's pissing himself laughing. He's completely aware that Denzel Washington was not going to get beat. Was not going to get whitewashed. So he thought, "Fuck this! I'm going to actually play." So I thought that was a really good backstory. I won't spoil the end of the film, but so it's. I don't know when it sort of is on Spike Lee's best films. For me, my favorite Spike Lee film is 25th Hour with Edward Norton. I really love that film.
Yeah, I love do the right thing for me, but
do the right thing. Obviously,
do the right 25th Hour. Very, very good director, Spike Lee. I think a lot. Again, I don't know if it's underrated is the right term, but overlooked often is probably. I don't think everyone who watches films know how good he is. I just don't think perhaps, certainly, awards wise, he's missed out on a few when he should have won it, in my opinion.
Do you think it gets? I mean, it's topical for now, but I think that people think when they see a Spike Lee film, they see it as going to be a black film. Do you know what I mean?
There's that, but I think part of the problem maybe with Spike Lee is he's so anti-establishment at times.
Yeah,
even though it's mad because he has been part of this, and he is part of the studio system. He's still very anti-establishment. He still calls out racism a lot, and he still sort of rubs certain executives and power people in Hollywood up the wrong way. So maybe that's cost him in terms of recognition from the likes of the Academy and organisations like that. But no, I watched it years ago and I need to revisit it, makes I'm struggling to remember it. I watched it when it first came out, but I think it was one of those when I was in me maybe in a bit of a haze, but I will revisit that one because it sounds good. And like you say, Denzel Washington and Spike Lee, it's fucking great combo, especially when you're throwing in basketball, which I know they both love. Spike Lee's mad on basketball, so that sounds like a good one. I know time's getting on, so I'll be quitting my last one. My last one is probably the best film I'm going to choose in terms of the quality of the film. Raging Bull, Scorsese, De Niro. You talk about Denzel Washington and Spike Lee. You get De Niro and Scorsese together, and the fucking magic happens. And this film, for me, is probably the best. Yeah, it's probably the best time they worked together. I mean, that's a bit of a statement considering Taxi Driver and Goodfellas, but this film is just fucking brilliant. It's about Jake LaMotta, a real life story about him. He was a middleweight world champion, and he's just a bastard. He's a horrible bastard to people. But and De Niro plays him really well, and De Niro won an Oscar for it. He gained like the equivalent of like 3.5 stone to play him, or 4 stone to play him as an older guy when he's retired. And you just see how this guy's like, despite the success he has in the ring, he's quite destructive. He goes up against the mafia. Joe Pesci plays his brother, who's sort of in with the mafia, and they're obviously manipulating a lot of boxing, especially in New York where it's set. And he goes up against them. He won't play ball. He's horrible to his wife. It's filmed in the 80s, but it was shot in black and white. And it's an absolute epic film. It's just fucking brilliant. Yeah. It's quite heavy at times and raw, but it's hugely entertaining, hugely enjoyable, and it's just a master craftsman at the top of his game in Scorsese. I've said this before when we talk about gangster films. When he gets it right, there's no one better. And he gets it right. It doesn't matter if you like boxing or not. It's not really about boxing. It's about this man's life and his journey, and sort of the self-destructive pattern he's on and how that plays out. But it's just fucking brilliant, and it's one of those films that's a 10 out of 10 film. I don't know what it's got on Rotten Tomatoes. I imagine it's got 100%, and if it's not, I don't know what critics weren't giving it a fucking good review. They won't sack it because it's an absolute epic and well worth checking out. If there's one film out of my selection that I would say is, one of the all-time great films, it's this one.
Yeah, I completely agree. I absolutely love Raging Bull. It's beautifully brutal. I think the best way the way it's shot, and I love the scenes in the ring, because when he's getting beat, how the camera sort of pans in on him and it looks like he's got nowhere to escape. And it's sort of like, I think that's like a metaphor for how he is in life. And then when he's winning the world's his oyster sort of thing, and you get a lot of this these camera angles. But it's definitely Scorsese. There's a lot of the editing's absolutely fantastic in it. Again, another great pairing between Joe Pesci, who plays, is it Joe LaMotta? I think
I think it is. I think in real life,
Jake and Joe.
Yeah, I think he's an amalgamation of two different characters. They made him into one, which was his brother. But yeah, Joe Pesci's he's brilliant in it as well. And I think her name's Kathy Moriarty.
Moriarty it is, yeah.
Yeah, he played his wife.
What did she go on to do? Because I don't recall seeing her in much.
She didn't do a lot. She's in Copland, and she's in Soap Dish as well. A film.
I remember. Yeah,
but she didn't do a lot. She and she's really good in this, and it's a shame that she didn't have a sort of more prominent career, because she obviously, is capable of acting. But yeah, it's just one of those films. It's a pretty much a must see film, really. One of those.
There's a bit of trivia. How many times have Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro starred on screen together?
I'll do quick maths. 2 + 2 is 1. Quick maths. Well, there's Casino, Goodfellas, Raging Bull. Am I missing something else?
See if you at home that are watching can beat Jay to the answer.
Do you know what? I'll say 6.
You bastard! Quick maths. Did you get that at home? Can you name them? It was The Irishman.
Yeah.
Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
Goodfellas, Casino, Raging Bull. What's number 6?
Fucking hell.
The Good Shepherd.
Oh, the one that he directed.
Yeah, but which is a fantastic film with Matt Damon, the CIA, J. Edgar Hoover. Okay, I have 3 minutes left, which I actually played up because I played down because I wanted Jay to talk more about Raging Bull, because I've not seen this film since about 1986. This next one is called American Races, and it stars Kevin Costner, and it's a cycling film. I've not seen it since the 80s, but I just remember it being on all the time. Do you remember this film at all, Jay?
You stumped me here, mate. I'll give you this one. I've never even fucking heard of it.
Right, okay. So, so it's a cycling film about these two estranged brothers, and they're competing in this cycling competition called Hell of the West. And they find out while they're racing that their dad had some brain disease, but it's genetic, and they don't know which one out of the two have actually got this disease. And it basically means that you only have like a limited life expectancy. From memory, it's quite a good film, and that's pretty much all I can tell you about that. So I'd probably check on IMDb.
I was rushing through Raging Bull, thinking.
I know, yeah, we got 2 minutes there. You go dip back into the ball.
His last one, and all you can tell me is Kevin Costner's in Lycra. That's all I can remember about.
Mate, if that's not enough for you to go and watch it, then.
Old Kevin Costner wearing spandex. Eh?
He's not. I think he's 30. I think he's about 35 in it, but I think he plays like a 20-year-old man.
That's all.
The 80s, eh?
That's like Grease. Have you seen Grease?
Oh my god! Yeah, I've seen some of
fucking Channing, who's like old enough to be your grandma, playing a fucking 18-year-old. I can't believe I'm pregnant. Neither can I. For you had your menopause. That's what both of us who were shocked. Fucking hell.
It is bad, that, isn't it? Kaneki as well is a fucking,
Oh, honestly, mate, it's terrible. But no, listen, I've loved chatting to you about those films, mate. It's a good choice, good idea doing the sports films. Again, we've been a little bit flippant with some of them. I have anyway. I think Scotty's picked more. Some of mine were a bit dafter. But let us know in the comments what films we missed out, what films you like, any of the films we've spoken about, anything you want to say about them. We appreciate the support we're getting. I think at the time recording up to 330 subs.
Yeah.
We are on iTunes as well. The podcast on iTunes, Audio Boom, Spotify, and we'll be doing another podcast. Will be out probably early next week now.
I think are we doing Tuesdays and Fridays?
Tuesday. We said we'll do Tuesdays and Fridays, so you'll get a top 5 and you'll get a podcast every week. 2 videos, 2 podcasts a week. So again, thanks for your support. That's been Scotty.
I've done it wrong. Fuck's sake.
Hey, Mr. Top Billing. I've been Motty. This has been our top 5 sports films. Thanks for watching.
Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend. Stay safe.